Hello, my dear students. Today, what we are going to discuss in this lecture, what are the limitations of statistics? In the last video, we have discussed how economics and statistics are integrated and why economists are using various statistical tools for various purposes. Okay, so in this video, what I'm going to discuss with you is what are the major limitations or shortcomings associated with statistics. Okay, so there are certain points we can discuss each point by one. Okay, the first and foremost important thing is in statistics, qualitative aspects are excluded and only quantitative things are included in the subject matter of statistics. Okay, in statistics, we have two types of variables. One is qualitative variables and quantitative variables. Statistics cannot study the phenomenon that cannot be expressed or captured or numerically measured in quantitative terms. Okay, so there are certain variables that can be measured, some variable that we cannot measure. Okay, so those variables that can be measured is known as quantitative variables, and those variables that we cannot measure is known as what is called qualitative variables. Statistics can only be used to study about different aspects of quantitative variable, not the qualitative variable. Okay, so let me discuss what is a pure qualitative variable is. For a variable to become a qualitative variable, there are three criteria or four criteria we usually say. Okay, the first one is the ratio is not having the ratio should not have any meaning. The distance should not have any meaning. The ordering is not possible, and there should not be a meaningful zero exist. Okay, so there are four criteria. This criteria we will discuss later. Okay, but in order to tell you what is a qualitative variable, okay, you take the case of GDP. GDP of India, or you take your income. Okay, it's a quantitative variable because if you have divided your income, today's income with your previous income, you will get something. Okay, it has certain meaning. Okay, if you subtract your today's income with yesterday's income, it also has certain meaning. Okay, and the ordering of your income is possible. Today income is more than yesterday's income. Clear? And someday you may not have any income. Zero income is also possible. Okay, so these are all four properties that a quantitative variable should have. Look at the other side, qualitative variable. Let me take an example. Gender is a purely qualitative variable. Okay, male, female, or transgender is a qualitative attributes or qualitative variable. Okay, let me check all these four criteria. Male divided by female, what you get? Nothing. Okay, you take political party, Congress divided by BJP, what you will get? Nothing. Okay, then the distance, male minus female, what you get? Nothing. Okay, then male is greater than female, doesn't have any meaning, and there is no gender. We cannot express any gender, we cannot equate any gender equal to zero, that there is no meaningful zero exist. Okay, so this type of variable like gender, political affiliation, state of domicile, these are all known as purely qualitative variable. Okay, so in order to learn more about this qualitative variable, there are little statistical methods are available, and almost all these available statistical tools to analyze the qualitative data are very less used in practical life. Okay, so that's the major limitations of statistics. Qualitative variables are excluded from the subject matter of statistics. Statistics is only included those variables that can only measured quantitatively, or that can only measured using certain numbers. Okay, so that's one of the limitations of statistics. Coming to the second problem or second limitation. Study of the numerical facts only, not the cause. Statistics only study the numerical facts, not the cause. Let me take an example, your attendance. Okay. So statistics will tell you how many percentage of the student have got minimum required attendance in the second semester. This much 95% of the total students in second BA or second semester BA got attendance more than 75%, and only 5% didn't get the attendance. Okay, and the average attendance got by or secured by the second BA second semester BA student is 85%. Okay, these are all certain facts. Okay, but statistics will never study about the cause of this. Why 95% of the students secured the proper attendance, and why 5% of the students didn't get the attendance? There are certain reasons for that. Why 5% are out of this attendance, out of these 5% are not getting the proper attendance? There are certain reasons for that. What is the reason for this? Okay, so the reason or the cause of these things will not study, that will not come under the purview of the statistics. Okay, statistics only study the facts, numerical facts, not the cause associated with these numerical facts. Okay, similarly, the India poverty, uh, then 17% of the India's rural household is living in poverty. It's a numerical fact. Okay, so statistics, the duty of the statistic is to give this kind of a numerical fact, not the reason. Okay, so the reason is to find out the reason is the duty of the, it is a duty of the economist to find out the reason for that. Okay, yes. A third one, there are too many methods available to study the same problem. There is a problem, for example. Okay, then there are large number of different methods are available to study a particular problem, and because of this thing, statistics can be only used by experts. For example, suppose if you wanted to find out the average, as we know that there are large number of different averages. Okay, mean is the one average, median is another average. Okay, mode is another average, weighted average, combined average. Okay, geometric average, then harmonic average. Okay, these are all an aggregate average. Okay, these are all certain averages available to learn certain problems. For example, suppose if you wanted to learn uh, about this average of this growth rate, India's economic growth rate from last 16 years data is available with you. You want to learn or you want to study what is the average growth rate. Which statistic you will use? We cannot say. Okay, we cannot use arithmetic mean. There are certain other measure that we have to use. Okay, that we will learn later. Okay, suppose if we wanted to learn the average speed, arithmetic mean cannot be used. If we use the arithmetic mean to study about the average of the speed, then it will be or biased or under biased. Okay, then if you have certain uh, data with proper weights. Okay, that means all the data set in this, all the number in your data set is not having the equal importance in your data set. In such situation, we cannot use arithmetic mean, we need weighted arithmetic mean. Okay, so this means that there are large number of different averages that are available, and the selection of which is the best average needs an expert. We need to have certain expert in order to select which one is the best average to fit this kind of a data. Okay, similarly, you just look at the dispersion. You might have learned various measures of dispersion like range, quartile deviation, standard deviation, mean deviation, Lorentz curve. Okay, these are all certain measures used to learn the dispersion or variability. Okay, suppose if you wanted to find out the variability in climate or temperature, okay, then range is the best one. Not the standard deviation will not serve the purpose. Okay, and if you wanted to learn about the inequality of income and wealth, then it is better to go for Gini coefficient or Lorentz curve. Okay, that means in each and every situation the methodology that we have to use will be changed. Okay, and which is the best method is can be only selected by a team of expert. Okay, so statistics can be only dealt with expert. Okay, and the common people may not always use the various tools of statistics. And the fourth one, the statistics study the numerical facts, the statistics, the result from statistics true only in aggregate, and it doesn't tell the picture. It is one of the most important limitations of the statistic. Okay, statistical facts are only correct in aggregate level, but if you take the individual level, this will clearly lead you to a wrong conclusion. For example, there are 6 students in your class. Okay, and they have got first student got 100 mark, second student also got 100 mark, third 99, 98. Okay, and last 2 students got 2 mark and 3 mark out of 100. Okay, suppose if we wanted to measure the average performance of this class, what we can do? We can go for average. Okay, arithmetic average, and we have done that one. So the total is 402 and divided by total number of students is 6. We have got average 67. How you will conclude that the average performance of the class is more than 67%, more than 60%. Okay, that means 67% of the total students are doing better, or no, students in this class are doing better and their average performance is good. But is it so? Not, because we are getting a high level or a high number or high value for this average due to the performance of 3 or 4 students. Okay, 3 or 4 students are doing better in the class, but 2 students are not doing anything in the class, but still those who are not doing well, their average is also showing that it is over biased. Okay, so statistics will always lead to unbiased results due to this fact. Individually, the individual results and aggregate results will always vary. Okay, so averages or whatever the statistical tool only true on an aggregate basis, but if you take the individual cases, it may not be a true cases. Okay, yes, and the 1, 2, 3, fourth one, fifth one. Okay, statistics sometimes leads to misleading result. Okay, so this will happen if the sufficient cares are not taken when we collect the data, or when we process the data, or analyze the data, or interpret the data. Okay, these are all the various steps of statistical analysis: collection, then process the data, analysis the data, or present the data, interpret the data. These are all five important steps in statistical analysis. Okay, so uh, when we are not concerned, or when we are not exercise proper care in all this process, it will always leads to a misleading conclusion. Okay, so these things we will see later. Okay, so these are all some of the major limitations of statistics. Okay, then let me tell you one interesting story given by Daryl Huff. Daryl Huff, he was a journalist in US, I think US or UK. Okay, I forgot it. And he published one book, one controversial book in statistics, How to Lie with Statistics. Okay, so in this book, he criticized the statistics like anything. Okay, so in this book, he mainly concentrated on, or mainly focused on, how we can misuse the statistics, or how the journals, how the researchers are misused by the statistics, and how the common people are cheated by the various statistical tools. Okay, so he Daryl Huff is mainly concentrated on criticizing the statistics. Okay, so we can see how this Daryl Huff is criticized, or in which background the Daryl Huff is criticized the statistics. Okay, in this book, before going to the criticism in this book, he mainly concentrate on data literacy. Okay, and how the common people are aware about this data, how whether this common people have more data literate or not. Okay, so the data literacy means nothing but the ability to read, understand, argue with, and make decision from information or data. Okay, we have certain data, and if by reading or by looking at the data, if we can interpret this data, then we are literate in this data, or data literate. Okay, and if we have seen a picture which gives a lot of statistics, but we cannot understand what this says, then we are data illiterate. Okay, so his main ideas, the main book is concentrated on data literacy. Okay, we can see his criticism. Okay, the first one, you might have learned correlation from your +2 level. Correlation is nothing but is a measurement of how to find out the relation between two variables. Okay, so correlation is a devices, or is a method in statistics that can be used to learn or to study the relationship between two or more variables. Okay, but Daryl Huff says that the statistical tool of correlation, okay, he viewed the correlation as with little bit skepticism. Okay, that means we don't need always rely on the statistics. We relies more on the statistical tool of correlations, but we should not rely more on that. Okay, we should not believe whatever the correlation coefficients give to us. Okay, let me take an example: attendance and class performance. Usually the teachers or the educationist says that attendance and class performance are always related. Okay, whenever attendance increases, class performance will also increases. Whenever you don't have proper attendance in your class, your class performance is likely to fall. Okay, and sometimes, even though if you have good attendance, you may not be able to do well in the class. Okay, and some people, they do well in the class, but they don't have attendance. So this type of people are there in each and every class. Okay, and suppose if you are going to study whether the attendance percentage and class performance measured by grade are related or not. Okay, we will get two things from this. We will get two things. Okay, first one, attendance is causing good class performance. That means if you have proper attendance, regular attendance, then it will lead to a good performance in the class. Okay, and second case, good performance in the class leading to more attendance. If you are performing good in the class, automatically your tendency to come to the class will always increases. Okay, so these two things we will get from the correlation analysis. But there are certain third factors. Okay, the third factors may be there may be certain third variables that affect both attendance and class performance. And this third variable is always ignored by the statistician. Okay, for example, a person, a student is very regular in the class. This might be due to the teacher, the influence of the teacher. The student like teacher very much, so he don't want to miss his class. Okay, or he may have good friends in the class, so he don't want to miss the friends. That's why he is coming every day to the class. Okay, or sometime his lover or her lover may be there in the class itself, and because of these things he is coming every day to the class. Okay, or he is engaged in extra activities like NSS, NCC and all, and that's why he is not attending the class. Okay, so these are all certain extra variables that are not came under our correlation studies. Okay, and because of these factors our correlation result may always go wrong. Okay, so these factors are ignored when we learn or when we study the correlation, or when we study any statistical problem. These third factors are always ignored. Okay, and the last possibility is attendance and class performance are completely unrelated. Okay, even though we are getting some numerical coefficient, but in reality they may not have any kind of relations. Okay, so why Darrell have views correlation with skepticism is that in correlation we always end with an explanation that is given in A and B. This A and B is there. Always we are giving these two explanation for correlation, but we are ignoring the third explanation and the fourth explanations. Okay, and sometimes this may be the reason for attendance and class performance relations. Okay, yes. And second criticism about the statistics is spurious correlations. Spurious correlation. What is spurious correlation? Spurious correlation is nothing but when we how to measure correlation using Karl Pearson coefficient of correlation, or Spearman rank correlation method. Okay, if the data is in quantitative format, then we have to use Spearman rank correlation. If the data is in qualitative format, we have to go for Spearman rank correlation. Okay, that we will learn later. Okay, and suppose we have learned about a correlation. Okay, correlation between the divorce rate and the consumption of margarine. That's there in the picture. My divorce rate and the consumption of margarine. Okay, what's margarine? It is a flavor used in cake making and all. Okay, so you look at the correlation graph. What you can see, whenever the consumption of margarine is reduced, okay, the divorce rate in man or mine divorce rate is also decreasing. So we using this graph, can we conclude that this whenever if we wanted to less divorce rate we can use more margarine? Can we say like that? No. Okay, because in reality this margarine and the divorce rates are totally unrelated. Okay, since both are having certain common trend in their data, Okay, both are moving up or both are moving down. That's why we are getting a correlation coefficient. That is truly unrealistic. Okay, this is what we call as spurious correlation. Okay, similarly, you just take the infant mortality rate in Ethiopia, and you take the GDP rate or money supply in India, you will get certain coefficient. You will get certain correlation. Okay, you take your class performance. Okay, some of your friend may be studying in other colleges. You take their performance and your class attendance. It's also related. Okay, we will get certain correlation coefficient. Okay, but is it so? No, we don't have any relation. Okay, your attendance in Farooq College and someone performance is someone your friends or anyone uh, who are studying in some other colleges in Kerala or out of Kerala, you just do a correlation analysis. You will get some result, even though they are totally unrelated. This is what is called spurious correlation. Okay, but what people do is people will just run a correlation and they will come to the interpretation these two are related. Okay, so this correlation will always many times leads to the spurious correlation. Okay, spurious correlation nothing but even though the coefficients are giving certain number or certain degree of correlation, but in actually these two are totally unrelated. Okay, yes. Then the third issue that the Darrell have raised is the relationship doesn't last forever. So in statistics, what we are doing, we are checking whether there is a relationship between two variables or not. Okay, then we have find some relationship, and what statistician is believing is that these relations will last forever. For example, sales and advertisement. What's the relationship? Whenever the if you have increased your advertisement, then there is a chance for increasing your sales. This is the idea between, this is the major idea of advertisement. Okay, if you increase advertisement, your sales will increase. Okay, but if you increase if you continuously increase in the advertisement, will it rise your sales? No. Okay, so in initial period of your product, or if you have started a new business, in the initial period of business, this may work. Okay, if you increase your advertisement cost, then the people will get into your products. Okay, and due to this your sales may increase. But after some period of time, if your product doesn't have that much quality, okay, then the people will not buy your product. Okay, if you have not making extra effort to improve the quality of your product, then the sales may decrease in the future. Okay, so this sales and advertisement relation will work only for a shorter period of time. This will not last forever. Okay, similarly, if you take any relationship that is established by statistics or statistician or statistics, this relationship will only last for a short period of time. So after this, if any kind of disturbance happened, okay, then this relationship will collapse. Okay, so any relationship will doesn't or don't the relationship doesn't last forever once it is established. Okay, yes, that's the one idea. You just check the graphs. Okay, in initial period of time there was like a linear relationship. Okay, this is a line, but after a certain period of time this graph is drastically changing its shapes. Okay, so this thing will happen in almost all the economic variable. Okay, so the relationship doesn't last forever, but what statistician is believing, they are believing that once they have established a relationship, it will last forever. Okay, yes. Yes. Then coming to the fourth point, statistics can be used to manipulate the data and cheat the public or cheat the audience. Okay, look at the graph. You take these two graphs. Okay, both are showing the interest rate from 2008 to 2012. Okay, in first graph and second graph, what you can see the difference. Okay, in second graphs you may feel that, oh, interest rate is doesn't vary from 2008 to 2012. Okay, all are the interest rate is not varying. But look at the first graph, interest rate is drastically hiking. Okay, so how we are getting these two types of result from the same using the same number in different years? Because we are wrongly giving the, you just look at the axis. Okay, here in the first picture the horizontal axis is starting from 3.14 and ending in 3.154. Okay, because this is interest rate, there may be a very small difference in the interest rate always. Okay, but look at the second one, it is starting from 0 itself. Okay, and from 0 to 3.5. Okay, so in the second picture, if you look at second picture, the axis is, the numbers in axis is, and adjusting the axis of a graph, sorry, they are adjusting the graph with big numbers, but in the first chapter they are adjusting their horizontal axis with small numbers. Okay, so if we want us to a good understanding about the graph, or if we want to understand the manipulation of the graph, okay, we need to look at the graph, sorry, we need to look at the axis of the graph. Okay, so using this way we can easily manipulate the graph and you can easily cheat the public. Okay, and look at the second graph, job and health insurance. Job and health insurance losses accelerating. Okay, you look, there are two types of variables are expressed in the same graph. In the left side, uninsured Americans, unemployment rate. What you can infer from here? Yeah, the relation between uninsured American and unemployment, both are increasing almost at the same rate. Okay, both are increasing, but now they are intersecting. Okay, but look at the axis. Unemployment rate is expressed in percentage, whereas uninsured Americans are expressed in million population. Both are entirely different unit of measurement. Okay, but when we look at the graph, this graph can be easily manipulate the things, and you may conclude that in uninsured American and unemployment rate are go in the same directions. Okay, so using statistics we can manipulate the, especially using graphs, we can manipulate certain informations. Okay, yes. And the third one, sorry, fifth one, small sample produce shocking statistics. This is now very danger, the one of the danger with statistics. Small sample produce shocking statistics. Okay, let me take an example. Yes. Yes. Suppose I wanted to learn the average performance of average plus 2 result of those who have completed their, sorry, average performance of your qualifying exams, that means plus 2 exam. Okay, what I have done, I have selected some student from physics department. As we know that the physics department is having the highest highest qualified marks is having for physics students. Okay, they are getting more highest marks in the plus 2 level. That's why they are getting admission in the physics department. And I'm just selecting only few pupils. Okay, and I have find out one conclusion that in Farooq College, in order to get admission in Farooq College, we need 99 mark. I am concluding this type of I am concluding like this because I have got certain information from physics department. I have just analyzed only 5 students from physics department. Okay, and I am saying that in order to get the admission in Farooq College, we need 99% mark. Is it correct or wrong? Wrong. Okay, because out of 1200 students, I have just taken only 5 students. That's also from physics department. Okay, this is the small sample bias. Okay, if we increase the sample size only, then only we will get into the proper understanding about a topic. Okay, I look at one example here. I have tossed a coin 5 times and I have got 4 tails. I have tossed the coin 5 times and got 4 tails. Okay, so does it mean that the coin will always come up with tails? Okay, so 5 times I have got 4 times tails. That means 80%. Okay, so would you conclude that the average if we increase the tossing of the coin, I'll get 80% of tails? No, that we cannot say. Okay, and look at these things. You just look at the graph. If we increase the tossing, then the average value is approaching to almost 0.5 or 1/2. Okay, so this is one of the serious problem with statistics. What usually people do that people will take only very small samples, and on the basis of this small sample they will infer what is in Kerala. Okay, usually what in degree project what they do, they will take 30 people, 30 household from a panchayat or from a village, and they say that yeah, this is true for Kerala. Kerala is having 3.3 crore pupils, and on the basis of 30 household, they are generalizing what is there in the what will be the situation in the Kerala. Okay, so this is totally unrealistic. Using small sample, we cannot find or we cannot conclude anything. Okay, yes. Then the next one, what the Dalhoff says that look at all the numbers that describe a data set. People usually believe what it show in the graph, but they will not look at the data. Okay, let me take an example. You just see a cherry picking data. What you can understand from first graph, the cherry picking is increased like anything. Okay, in the first period it increased, second decrease, the second was constant, still it is increasing. In the third stage and the third period it is increasing. Look at the second data, the same data increased like anything, then decreased, continuously decreasing. What's the mistake here? The mistake is in the first data they are giving only small number of period, just 3 months data they are giving. In the second period 1 2 3 4 5 years of data they are giving. Okay, so we will get more picture about the same thing when we have a longer period of data, and we always need to look at into the data labels, not the graph. and people always cheated by looking at the graphs and not to the label or not to the data set. Okay, and this is one more thing. And the next things, check which average can be used. Okay, this thing that I have already told you, there are large number of methods are available for one particular purpose. Okay, but what actually, suppose, for example, mean and median you might have learned are the same thing, like both are the a measurement to find out the average. Okay, then if you find out the average, the mean and median income in India, you may find the difference about 6,000 rupees. Okay, mean is 6,000 more than that of median. Okay, so if a government want to show that the average income of people in India have increased after our government assumed power, what they can do, instead of mean that they have adopted by previous government, these people can adopt median. Or in previous government they have adopted median as a measure of average income, but these people they can adopt mean. Okay, so by adopting mean instead of median, it will over biased, or it will there will be a difference of amount 6,000 rupees. Okay, so by choosing different methods for different purpose, usually the government, the corporate, and the media can fool the people. Okay, but the common people doesn't know which is the best one. Okay, average, both median, mean, both are average, but the common people doesn't know when to use mean and when to use median. Okay, so instead of using median, they can use mean and they can manipulate the things, and instead of using mean they can use median and they can also manipulate the data. Okay, so whatever they want to get from the data, they can get it by manipulating the methods available in statistics. Then the next problem is use comparison to a common baseline. Okay, whenever we compare two data set, we have to use the common base. So this is a problem that was no discussed, or that was very familiar to us when we discuss about the GDP growth rate. Okay, so in GDP growth rate, the Narendra Modi government is always comparing with this Manmohan Singh government, that we are having more growth rate than you. Okay, but the problem is that Narendra Modi is using different base year. Manmohan Singh has used different base years. Okay, so the base year is nothing but we are connecting all this data into a common base year. Okay, so in that way, by using different base years, the government can fool the peoples, like what Narendra Modi government has done in the previous year. Okay, they have shifted the base year from 2012 to 2016. Okay, and this is showing overestimated. All the figures are overestimated. Okay, then look for bias in sample selection. Always people will have sample selection problem or sample selection bias. Okay, suppose in the first year uh, you might have enrolled for walk with scholar. Some people may have enrolled with walk with scholar program in the campus, and some people they have applied for that, but they didn't get. Okay, and have you ever think that why most of the WW students are from science background? Okay, basically they are getting good mark. Okay, the science students are getting very good marks. Okay, that's why they are having more representation in walk with scholar programs. So does it mean that in walk with scholar programs the science students are more interested and the social science and language students are they have only least interest? No, because in the selection process there is a bias. The bias is that this is the criteria is the highest mark. The most of the highest marks are secured by the science student. That's why they are getting the more admission to walk with scholar programs. It doesn't mean that others doesn't have interest to join this. Okay, so the small sample selection will the sample selection bias, we need to be care about it. The last thing, don't place too much faith in any of the one statistic. Okay, please don't believe in one statistics. Growth rate, India growth rate is 7.5. It was in previous year it was 6.5, now 7.5. In next year it will be 10%. Does it mean that all of our the economy will do better? All the people will have better uh, standard of living, better income, better jobs? It's not like that. Okay, it's just a statistical tool to analyze to analyze the performance of an economy. It doesn't mean that all people are doing better. Okay, so don't place too much faith in one stats. That's the advice given by Darrell Huff. Okay, so this is my video, and the coming video we will come to the next part. Okay, thank you.